Welcome to GovBooks. Let's take a guided tour of GovBooks. GovBooks is a simple, easy-to-use, inexpensive add-on to QuickBooks Online to achieve government contract and grant compliance and pass government agency audits. You don't need an expensive and complicated accounting system to pass agency audits when you use GovBooks. Our low monthly subscription price of $100 includes an unlimited number of users with no long-term contracts or setup fees. We also offer a 30-day free trial. GovBooks allows you to pass DCA audits using our inexpensive add-on to QuickBooks Online. GovBooks meets all of the requirements you need to obtain DCA certification. Now, even small and medium-sized government contractors can compete for large contracts without spending a fortune on a big enterprise system. In addition to the Department of Defense, GovBooks also handles the contract and grant requirements of civilian agencies such as the National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health, Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, National Aeronautical and Space Agency, and many others. Small business innovation research and small business technology transfer programs can be managed with GovBooks, including Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. GovBooks works with all types of contracts and grants to include fixed price, time and materials, and cost plus. Contract line items, labor categories, funding, and budgets can also be tracked in GovBooks. GovBooks meets the following 7 compliance and audit requirements. Number 1. The segregation of direct costs from indirect costs. Second, the identification and accumulation of direct costs. Third, the computation of indirect cost allocation rates. Fourth, the allocation of indirect costs to cost objectives. Fifth, a labor distribution system that charges cost objectives. Sixth, the segregation of unallowable expenses. And finally, number 7, the limitation of costs and the limitation of payments. But exactly how does GovBooks accomplish all of these objectives with a simple, easy-to-use, and inexpensive add-on to QuickBooks Online? Let's take a look. The segregation of direct costs from indirect costs is the first compliance requirement. In GovBooks, the Account Assignment screen is used to assign general ledger accounts from QuickBooks Online to direct costs and indirect pools, which will be used later for indirect rate computations. The identification and accumulation of direct costs is the second compliance requirement. The direct costs are coded to general ledger accounts and projects in QuickBooks Online. Then, in GovBooks, when you run a project status report, you will be able to see direct costs by projects broken down into the general ledger accounts. The third compliance requirement is the computation of indirect cost allocation rates. GovBooks is able to compute indirect rates using thousands of different allocation methods. GovBooks allows for up to 10 fringe pools, 10 overhead pools, 10 facility pools, and 10 value-added pools, and 10 service center pools. GovBooks can allocate indirect costs using a single pool method, 2-tier method, 3-tier method, total cost input, or value-added. The allocations in GovBooks correctly handle overhead related to bid and proposal costs and independent research and development costs. The allocation of indirect costs to cost objectives is the fourth compliance requirement. After GovBooks computes indirect rates, it allocates indirect costs to projects based on the allocation method that is established in the GovBooks Pools module. Your compliance auditor will use the award status report to verify your cost plus invoices and whether you have overbilled or underbilled a cost plus contract. The fifth compliance requirement is a labor distribution system that charges cost objectives. Employee time records are used to distribute payroll costs to both general ledger labor accounts and to projects. GovBooks supports total time accounting, which is the method preferred by your compliance officer. GovBooks also supports the standard rate accounting method. Time is imported from QuickBooks Online, then processed in GovBooks to create the labor distribution, and then the labor distribution is posted to both the general ledger labor accounts and projects in QuickBooks Online. The segregation of unallowable expense is the sixth compliance requirement. In GovBooks, you designate which general ledger accounts are used to capture unallowable expenses to segregate them for other allowable expenses. This helps to ensure that your customers are not billed for these unallowable expenses. The unallowable accounts can be seen in GovBooks on the Chart of Accounts report. The seventh and final compliance requirement is the limitation of costs and limitation of payments. In GovBooks, the award backlog report tracks the amount billed by award and by line item of the award. It compares this amount to the amount that was awarded and funded to compute the backlog amount and a percentage remaining. This information will be used by your compliance auditor to prevent overbilling on an award. Wow, GovBooks certainly offers a lot of compliance features. But what about everyday accounting and reporting? It's good to know that GovBooks also offers many standard financial reports that can be customized and shared with project managers, your leadership team, and even outside parties such as your accounting firm. In addition to financial reports, GovBooks allows you to create custom dashboards. You can create dashboards using any transaction data from QuickBooks Online and GovBooks. Save multiple dashboards and share them with project managers, your leadership team, and your outside accounting firm. GovBooks is a multi-user system that allows you to share reports and dashboards. Included in the $100 per month company subscription fee is an unlimited number of users. Each user has their own separate account, which is accessed with password-protected credentials. Custom roles and permissions can be created and assigned to users. You can even decide which modules, screens, and reports a user can view, and decide whether to grant a user the ability to enter and edit data at the screen level. GovBooks is here to ensure that your company meets all of your government, contract, and grant compliance requirements. If you are a do-it-yourselfer and prefer to implement the system on your own, we offer free email support and a free help center where you will find helpful articles and videos. On the other hand, if you prefer to engage a compliance expert, please contact one of our expert accountants and consultants through our GovBooks Accountants Network. This concludes our guided tour of GovBooks. If you have any questions, please contact us or schedule a time to meet so we can review your compliance requirements. I hope you will find that GovBooks is a simple, easy-to-use, and inexpensive system that connects to QuickBooks Online. Remember, you don't need an expensive and complicated accounting system to pass agency audits when you use GovBooks.